Uh-oh. Looks like big trouble. We're back together again, Anthony.
You're Glenn.
And you're Anthony.
And this is No Vacancy Live.
It is.
I'm Anthony. Welcome to No Vacancy Live. That's my friend Glenn.
You're watching the #1 show in hospitality.
Reunited and it feels so good. Anthony Melchiori, great to see you. I'm Glenn Hausman. You're watching No Vacancy Live. We are back in full effect. Anthony, going away for a couple of weeks and having you not here for the couple of days this week made me sad. I've really missed you.
Well, 1 to 10, 10 being the highest, how was your trip?
I would definitely say it was a 10 for a variety of reasons. First of all, Hawaii. Right? I mean, you got a great atmosphere in order to enjoy yourselves. Number two, my kids said things to me that were not going through telephones, for handheld phone devices. And we went up and we did all this nature stuff and they liked it. And they were actually all about, this is really cool. I can't believe we're doing this. So getting out there, nature, and reconvening and having a chance to reflect and refresh was really awesome. How about you? How was your time?
Well, you and I only spoke briefly, literally in the last 2.5 weeks.
Yep.
Which is shocking, because you speak all the time. And you did, when I did speak to you when you got back, you said your children, which made me teary-eyed.
Yep.
So it was the best trip of their life.
Yeah, it was wonderful. And I've only got, 3 weeks left with them before they go off to college and start new lives. So
honestly, as a parent of 2 kids that graduated and one that's in school, our relationship, the foundation has been built, obviously through them living home and all the years. But our relationship as friends and as guidance is really just started now. I mean, I'm hearing things from my children and appreciation from my children I never heard when they were teenagers. And it's all the hard work and all the, it all pays off. So,
well, good. Thank you for giving me something to look forward to. Maybe one day.
I got to get this out. So, you know me. I am an advocate of travel. I'm an advocate of Delta. I love Delta.
Uh-oh.
I've had I had the longest travel day in history, and everybody that complains about travel gets on my nerves because I'm like, man, just put your head down, stay in the lounge, drink your beer, have food, and wait for the plane, and you don't crash, and everything's good. So I've been saying that since the beginning of all these problems. Well, I had a really important business meeting in Gatlinburg, Tennessee, for a developer that we're looking to do business together. We've been working on it for months.
Yep.
We get our flight gets canceled the night before. We're supposed to fly out the day before our meeting. So we get there in plenty of time. He's going to be on the plane with me, the gentleman I'm going to partner with.
Yep.
He gets canceled. He said, all right. So they rebook us. He said, let's get on that plane. No problem. So that's 5:00 at night, the day before we're supposed to be at our meeting. They said there's thunderstorms. It's getting pushed back. So he says, you know what? They're probably gonna cancel it. Let's go in the morning. I said, no, I really want to go today because I don't want to miss the meeting tomorrow. And I don't want to go from the airport to the meeting because I don't want to miss it.
Right.
So he said, no, it'll be fine. I get there. So we book it for the next morning. It's 8:00 in the morning. I get there, as you know, always 2 hours early in the Sky Lounge. They look at my boarding pass. They print me a boarding pass. I don't know why, but they printed me a boarding pass. I had it on my phone. I'm in comfort because when they canceled my flight, my first class seat went away. I'm in comfort.
Poor man.
Boarding pass. I'm having breakfast. I go to the gate. I'm the first person at the gate, as always. First person on the plane, as always. I'm low man. I like being first. So I go to get on the plane. I hand them my boarding pass with my seat number.
Right.
You're not on the plane. I said, that's impossible.
Right. Look at the boarding pass.
I was like, that's impossible.
The
gentleman gets on the plane. My partner gets on the plane.
Yep.
I'm not on the plane. She goes, please stand over there. This is what irritates me, and I don't want to talk bad about Delta because I love Delta. The woman didn't care. A supervisor comes over. She's okay. And then she saw how emotional I was getting because I don't yell and scream.
Right.
But she saw, I was literally so frustrated. I was tearing up. I was like, I got to get on this plane. She's helpful. Unfortunately, the time she figures it all out, the plane is gone. I missed my meeting. It's over. It's done. It's done. She goes, this is her words, quote unquote. It was a computer glitch. She goes, I've never seen this happen before.
Right.
I was like, okay. So after I kind of get myself together, I had to walk away for 10 minutes, came back to the gate. I said, I'm done. I can't go to Tennessee. Get me on the Tampa flight. I'm supposed to be there tomorrow for another meeting. Get me on Tampa. She goes, we'll credit you $200.
Nice.
Yeah. I'm a diamond member. I'm the first person to get upgraded all the time. I told the woman, and actually she laughed. She goes, I said, I'm on the flight more than the pilot. Anyway,
Right.
so from Tampa, I got canceled twice yesterday. So I got in the middle of it. Everybody's nightmares. I got in the middle of it. You know what? I never yelled. I never raised my voice. And it's not their fault. It was a computer glitch.
Right.
Moving on.
That is rough. I'm so sorry to hear that. Yeah, what are you going to do? We got to have you got to pack your patience, as they say.
What really bothers me is that I had to tell that story because it's only right that I tell it.
You do.
Because everybody's complaining and I'm not a complainer, but like that was unacceptable that I literally missed.
Hey, listen, we're here about the spirit of positivity, but Delta has been creating a lot of problems for its customers in 2022. You guys are not surprised to hear these issues we've had. I know on July 1st, Anthony, I was on a plane when they actually canceled that flight. So we've all had our troubles. But the good news is I want to thank the good folks over at Delta for getting me to Hawaii and back with my family safely. And we look forward to actually getting places in the future. We don't need to be negative Nellies, but we do have to share this in the spirit of discussing how to provide good customer service.
And I'm not changing. And listen, I didn't crash. I got there safely. And that's the bottom line.
Yeah. All right, everybody. Let's get into today's topic. And I'm excited because today we're going to be focusing on the brand new Ritz Carlton New York NoMad. Beautiful 500-foot tall building. I think it's like 50 stories tall. Really, really beautiful space. I can't wait to actually see it in person. You can see one of these photographs behind me. So today we're going to go through this, what it's like putting together a deal like that. And we've got two incredible guests with us today. We've got Dayssi Olarte de Kanavos. She's the president of Flag Luxury Group, the owners and developers behind the project. And it would be a great show without Donna McNamara, global brand leader with Ritz Carlton. Look at us, Anthony, getting the big guest today.
Listen, I'm always excited to this show, but never more excited than today. It's all my favorite things: luxury, New York, NoMad. I'm out of my mind.
That's right.
Yes, and it's a good thing too because Dayssi, you know, I was just at a couple of concerts the last two nights at Jones Beach, so I'm a little sleepy today, maybe a little foggy. So I know that he's gonna have lots and lots of super great questions. Yeah, that's right. All right. So thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate you joining us. Building a major hotel in New York City is a Herculean feat, to say the least. I think unless your name is Sam Chang, I'm just kidding there. But it's not an easy thing to do. Dayssi, you guys have a lot of incredible experience developing other Ritz Carlton properties, for example, a lot of other type of retail products, I believe, in Las Vegas and beyond. Before we get to you, Donna, Dayssi, tell us a little bit more about your company and what the impetus was for bringing this incredible property to New York City's NoMad district.
Well, I think we have to start from the beginning, really. When my husband and I met, he was a real estate developer, and I was getting my master's degree in real estate development and finance from NYU. I was actually in that first cohort when they invented that program at NYU, which dates me quite a bit, but it's part of my background. And I'm a hotelie from the Cornell Hotel School. So we're part of that great, fraternity and sorority of hoteliers. And Paul and I met, and I was hell-bent on developing my own hotels. His family had been in the business many years prior through his dad. So Paul's family, his father, Peter Kanavos Sr., actually built some of the first Marriott hotels. And Bill Marriott was actually a general manager of one of his hotels in Boston.
Wow.
Yeah, so they go way, way back. They built many hotels. They built Holiday Inns as well. And then at some point, the family decided that they were going to start building retirement communities, golf
Hmm.
courses, and things like that. So when I came along and I wanted to get back into the hotel business, we really had to think long and hard what we wanted to do. And one of my dissertations to get my degree was to study a city in America and
Hmm.
decide which is a city of tomorrow and why. And that was part of my economics class. And I honed in on Miami. And basically, I had many reasons why I felt it was going to be the city of tomorrow. You know, not only the influence between the Latin Americans coming in, but that strong connection between New York and Miami. And of course, we saw that there were so many economic drivers coming to Miami. So when Phil Kebb and
Hmm.
later Bill Marriott came and were looking for somebody to help them. They were looking for strategic developers to help them start their brand. Their goal was to have at least 50 Ritz Carltons within,
Right.
10-year span. They came and they looked for my husband, Paul, and we honed in on Miami and started the Ritz Carlton on Coconut Grove.
Right. And subsequently did the Ritz Carlton South Beach and Anthony Ritz Carlton Golf Club and Spa in Jupiter as
Well,
well.
Correct.
I will tell you that I have a story about your Ritz Carlton. I was doing my show down there, and I was on break, and I'm sitting in the restaurant, and a waitress came over to me. She was wonderful, and we started a conversation. And I said, "Why do you like working here?" She goes, "Well, I learned something very valuable, and I use it myself now." I go, "What was it?" She goes, "The general manager lets us all take pictures of things that aren't perfect. So if you're walking down, you see a carpet that's a little worn, or you saw a paint chip missing. We take pictures and we upload it. And at the end of the week, we all sit in a room with all the pictures on the screen.
Right.
We go one by one, and we make sure each one of those have been resolved by the next week." And I was like, that is so simple and so genius. And that this resonated with a 26-year-old girl, that a young lady that's not in the hospitality industry. Like really, like that always stayed with me. And I was like, wow, that's great. So anyway.
Donna, let's bring you into the conversation. I always feel bad, this happens to me when I'm on stage too. Somebody's sitting there and they can't talk right away. So, Donna, thank you for being here. First of all, how cool is it being the global brand leader of such an esteemed brand over there? And secondly, obviously, this partnership goes back for a while. What's it like working with such a great partner?
Well, thank you, first of all, for having me. And I was sorry to hear of the travel woes at the beginning of the podcast, but I know we all have ours that we could share.
Oh, yeah.
But I hate when I hear that happens. And thanks for also sharing your thoughts about your children. I have younger kids, and it's nice to know that that's in the future. So thank you. But to answer your question, I think I have the best job in the world, right? The global brand leader for the Ritz Carlton brand. I've been with the brand for 15 years. Wow. And had the opportunity to really travel the world with our properties and our brand, and interact with our incredible ladies and gentlemen at all of our properties around the world. When I joined, we had 50 properties. So much like Daisy was talking about, I can go back a ways with the brand, with the Ritz Carlton New York NoMad. That's our 106th Ritz Carlton opening. So
before you move forward, I'm having fun with your sound.
Yeah, it's sounding a little scratchy.
Okay.
Maybe you could could you speak one more second? Let me just hear what it sounds like now, real quick.
Yeah, is that any better?
No, it's not any better. What I'd like you to do is try to reset that. If it's maybe just leave the room and come back in, and I will we'll get you back in as soon as you just hit reset on your browser, and then we'll bring you right in. Okay?
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Thanks. Let's go back to sorry guys. This is what happens when I'm running the show. Let's go back to Daisy. Daisy, when did this project first come onto your radar that you folks over at Flag wanted to put this type of product in the Nomad District in Manhattan?
Well, we're not a standard developer. We are people that grew up in hospitality business. Both my husband and I have worked in hotels for a big part of our lives. I've been concierge. He's worked in laundry, and we've worked our way, in the hotel business. So we have a lot of passion for the business, and we're a boutique developer. We only pick projects that we're really excited about, and we really just cherry pick on what we want to do. So after building 4 Ritz Carltons in the Miami area, we always felt that New York is our home. We'd love to build a Ritz Carlton here in New York City. And over the years living in New York, we realized that the epicenter of New York is slightly changing because downtown is so energetic and vibrant, accessible, safe for people. And Brooklyn has become such a great magnet for artists and younger people to live in. We felt that there's definitely the epicenter shifting a little bit in New York, and we felt that luxury customers really needed a place to stay closer to downtown.
That's right.
But a place that's real luxury, because we have a lot of wonderful boutique hotels that have a great DNA and have a great sensibility and design, but they don't always understand what is true luxury and what customers expect in terms of the service promise. So we felt that we would bring a new product to New York City that was targeting a younger, very affluent customer that is excited about being closer to downtown, but we're still walking distance to anything you want to be at. This is the new epicenter of New York. And we targeted this location because it's a very unusual location for New York. It's dotted with luxury condominiums throughout, and it's the home of Silicon Alley, a lot of marketing firms, photographers, modeling agencies. So it's a combination of, new high-tech firms, new fintech firms that are all here. And you have this vibrant neighborhood that is alive during the day and during the evening. And it's close enough to enjoy downtown or to go to the theater. And of course, nobody does a room experience better than the Ritz Carlton brand. So we felt it was time to bring a new Ritz Carlton and create a new flagship for that customer.
So Donna, let's get you back in. Hopefully your sound is working now, but we're about to find out. Stay tuned, everybody, and see what happens. Oh, that already sounds a lot better. All right, so picking up where we were before, we've set the stage about bringing this property to New York City. Of course, you have another property further uptown. She's right. This part of the city is really taken off, and with Manhattan being so big, there's plenty of room for multiple Ritz Carltons in there. How did this all come together on your end? Did Daisy's group over at Flag approach you guys?
Well, Daisy, first of all, wonderful to be with you today. And Daisy and Paul are incredible partners. I think, in this case, they had the site and came to Marriott about it many years ago now, right? But I think Daisy's right in terms of this neighborhood in New York City and just the vibrancy. We were all there the past couple of weeks for what we call countdown, which is when we, train and get ready for the official opening. And I mean, I can say that neighborhood is just really coming to life. And I think that the Ritz Carlton there, as well as, other things that are entering the neighborhood, are really going to change the face of that area of Manhattan. So we're so excited for it.
That's excellent. Anthony?
Thank you, because I'm literally coming out of my skin.
Sorry, I had to make sure that they spoke. I know. You've been a very good boy.
Yeah, I mean, we personally toured the site with Hervé Umler. Yeah. And, he was the CEO of Ritz Carlton at the time. And, his passion, his exuberance for the brand and for where we wanted to go, he was so excited. He couldn't wait to see this next generation of Ritz Carlton come to life. So, we originally planned it and went through so many of the iterations of what this might be like, personally with him at the helm and hand in hand, which is an extraordinary experience.
Yeah, I mean, we interviewed Horst Schulze on the show, and it was probably in our top 3 shows ever. We're just actually now putting some content, social media content out about some of his quotes. I'm excited about it, and it really takes, as a hotelier in New York City for 30 years, developing hotels. I worked with Tishman. I ran the Algonquin. I asset managed Weston. So Yeah, like I said, in the green room, I was doing a walking tour with the first NoMad hotel in New York City, pre-construction for the general manager job. So I love New York with all my heart, but I know this one thing. It takes Ritz Carlton Marriott and a developer like you to get this done. This doesn't, and we won't talk about the competition that thinks they're competition to you guys of all the fits and starts that they've had and all the challenges they've had. We won't talk about that because we're nice people. But I know all the horror stories and all the nightmares that with those projects that are coming out of the ground that are going to be your competition. So how important it is to have a Marriott and to have a development company like you in that area in New York City cannot be understated, because it's almost impossible to develop a luxury brand at that level in that area in New York City today. Right or wrong?
Absolutely. I mean, right now, right when we were going through our entitlements, the city of New York decided that they were going to start a new process where hotels were no longer as of right and requiring a 2-year ULUP process, which is extraordinarily expensive. It's long. You don't know if you're going to get entitled, and you're doing a lot of work before even having any idea of whether you're allowed to do that. So that definitely puts a big dent into your financing.
Right.
And the financing is so critical and so important, regardless of which hotel. And we kind of slid in just at the right time, right before that went in place. But of course, you know, I think one of the other really important things is that this hotel is a union hotel, and we are providing, you know, great benefits to all of our team and our ladies and gentlemen and team members that work here. But it was a very complicated process, because there were a lot of things that we had to complete before the deadlines. We had to complete our foundation. We had to complete certain permits, drawings, all hurrying before, you know, this looming deadline. And I think we had our foundation approved the day before. We would have been stuck in a 2-year process.
Right.
And, you know, these types of what I call black swans kept on happening to this project. There were constant barrage of things that were going on that for a normal developer would be overwhelming, but this was even more, because of course we did have, you know, 2 years of COVID.
And then now, just for people that understand about that rule, the previous mayor put in with the council members this rule that is horrific, draconian, whatever words you want to use, to really stop the development of hotels in New York City. They will have to approve all permits and all site for development of hotels. And then the government will decide if they're going to be able to build a hotel. And as you said, and you used the word union, and sometimes we're very careful here to say union, non-union, because some hoteliers don't develop with union. To develop a hotel with a union is extraordinary, because most of those people that probably work with you probably worked for me over the years, and they're all wonderful people and they're great people, and the union's great, but it's expensive and it's difficult to come up with that contract. So I wanted to make sure that people, like you're sitting here, you both excited about this project, and it looks great, and everybody's envious of your project, everybody's envious of you, and oh, how lucky you are. And I want them to know that you're equipped the last couple of years. And so I don't want it to be so just everything's pretty and great and wonderful. It's really friggin' hard to do what you did. That's why I'm excited. And to be with Marriott and to be with Ritz Carlton helps you over those challenges, because listen, if it wasn't for Marriott, Times Square in New York City wouldn't be back, right? Marriott Marquis was the foundation.
That's right.
I opened the second hotel after Marriott Marquis in 1990, the Embassy Suites Times Square, right across from Marriott. And that project wouldn't have been able to do it if it wasn't for Marriott. So,
well, if it wasn't for the Marriott Marquis, that Westin in Times Square that you asset managed wouldn't happen, because that whole incredible development along 42nd Street at the very end of the 1990s really set the tone for what the city would become over time.
But the Marriott Marquis kind of screwed me up a little bit, because I went on my first date with my wife there. We had dinner, and I danced with her up on your revolving restaurant. And I thought my wife was a dancer. That was the last time I ever danced with my wife.
So,
Well,
Donna, talking about all these complications and stuff, what is the role of somebody like you and Marriott as a larger entity to help work through all of these challenges to set a better stage for, your developers' successes out there?
yeah, well, I'm glad you gave a little taste of kind of what goes into all of this. And, Daisy alluded to it, but it is a long partnership. So obviously the development piece goes on for many years. And then, we've just hit our opening date this week, which is very exciting, but it's a partnership that lasts, into the future, many, many years. You're talking about some Marriott developments in the past that have been quite important. And this one certainly will be moving forward. So I think the important thing is, developing the relationship with Daisy and Paul and their teams like we have over many years, but then also that keeps going. That doesn't stop at opening, right? So we're really focused on this property and what it means for the Ritz Carlton brand globally, really. I mean, it's such an important opening for us in New York City, a new build in New York City, so extremely rare. And to have, this caliber of design and product and experience is just, terrific, and something that we're so excited about to continue to work with Daisy and her team.
And you just said you have your opening date. So that means all the elevator problems you guys had, you finally get your and you got the CEO to open the building, right?
That's right. Yes, that's right. We welcomed our first guest on Tuesday.
Wow, congratulations.
Really excited about.
This Tuesday, or it opened already?
Tuesday,
last Tuesday.
Oh.
No,
this Tuesday.
26th.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wow.
And you know what? The partnership with Marriott and the Ritz Carlton can't be ever underestimated, because we've been in business with them now, Paul and I, with the Ritz Carlton brands since, we started on our Florida properties in the 1990s, right? Wow. So we've worked very closely with the Ritz Carlton we're constantly challenging the brand, pushing the brand for improvements, for things that we feel are important, because we're not just a bricks and mortar developer, right? We're at heart hoteliers, and we care about the service. We care about our customer experience. We put ourselves in our customer's shoes, and Ritz Carlton knows that. They've developed a trust with us, and we trust them as our operator with our property. And because of this mutual trust, we were able to do something here that Ritz Carlton has never done, which is allow us to separately operate all of the food and beverage. And what that does is that it allows someone like humanitarian Michelin star chef Jose Andres put his real imprint on the food and beverage experience that our Ritz Carlton customer is getting, and that our local customers that are coming to our restaurants are going to get as well. And that's very, very unusual. That is not something that they've done in the past. And I think that it is going to elevate the services, the quality, and just give the hotel so much more character. One of the things that we thought about when we think about luxury is, the story of Auguste Escoffier and Cesar Ritz pairing up, between the back of the house and the front of the house to create that perfect magical experience, and infuse the guests with delight, with surprise, and with all of the personal touches. So we wanted to bring that back, but in a modern, contemporary way, and in this modern context that Raphael Vignoli helped design for us.
Well, I think another, I was just going to say, I think another important thing to mention, I mentioned when I started with the brand 15 years ago, we had 50 properties, and now NoMad is our 106th property. But one thing that hasn't changed along the way is our focus on, delivering these incredible experiences and service that Daisy mentioned, but also on our ladies and gentlemen. And we had, I think it was over 10,000 people who applied for the positions at the Ritz Carlton New York NoMad. Ooh. And in today's labor market, I think that says a lot about the brand and about this property and the importance of it in New York City. So, really focusing on these ladies and gentlemen and helping them continue to grow and providing these opportunities in this, stunning new property, I think means a lot to, both Daisy and Paul, as well as to the Ritz Carlton brand for sure.
And there's two things I want to say. One, these are high paying jobs. So if you're getting these jobs at these hotels, these are high paying jobs that are lifetime jobs. I mean, I know when I hired the bellman at the Plaza Hotel back in '90, I go in, I'm still hugging and kissing the same bellman I hired. So they don't leave because these are very prestigious, high paying jobs. So thank you for doing that. Thank you for bringing these really quality jobs to back to New York. And also, your chef is not a celebrity chef. Your chef is a celebrity human being.
Yeah.
And to be able to bring someone, he cares about the spirit. And so just saying the words you said, and that he's your chef, which I didn't realize, and that you're partnering with him, it gives me an emotional connection immediately to your hotel. Literally, as soon as you said it, I was like, I got to go there now. Whereas I've worked with and I've signed contracts with a lot of celebrity chefs, and they're all about the next project. They're all about the next, how will I get on the Today Show? Matter of fact, I was in the green room with one of the celebrity chefs that I've known for years, and he looked at me like I was something on the bottom of his shoe. So I've been around them for a very long time. He's the real deal. He's the real humanitarian chef. And I'm literally emotionally connected to your property just because of him.
And you know what I love about the pairing between Chef Jose Andres and Ritz Carlton is that he treats his people with utmost dignity. He's kind. He's attentive to them. He really cares about his team and his staff. And we think Ritz Carlton also does the same. They put their people first. And when you do that, you know that your employees in your hotel are going to deliver even better service because they are well taken care of, because they do have these great paying jobs. They have, you know, a wonderful place to call home away from home. And honestly, like we think about rattling as a real estate developer. Oh, it's 300,000 square feet. It's 580 feet in the air. It's tons and tons of concrete, steel, glass, X amount of financing, you know, ROIs, you know, room rates. But in the end, the thing that we're the most proud of is the hundreds of construction jobs, design jobs, and then of course the hundreds of permanent hospitality jobs that we've created here. There's nothing that makes us more proud. And when we started and we brought in Chef Jose Andres here 5 years ago, because this is a long-term project, takes a long time to do it. We first saw the land 8 years ago, and it took us over 3.5 years to complete the construction. So when we first partnered with Chef Jose Andres, and he was doing so much work as a humanitarian, but not yet exploded on the scene, we knew that we wanted to align ourselves with someone that that also shared our own, you know, humanitarian goals as well. So in New York City, for example, we've worked with youth in foster care for over 20 years.
Oh, wow.
With New Yorkers for Children. I've been on that board well over 20 years and started a lot of, you know, our outreach programs that we're really proud of. And we just think that giving to our community, and especially our local community, is also really important. So to have a chef that cares and is a humanitarian, I mean, there's just nothing better than that. And for Ritz Carlton to also embrace that in a way that is meaningful and personally meaningful to us is fantastic. So when I first told Ritz Carlton that I wanted our first guest to be a youth in foster care, one of our guardian scholars, they were thrilled.
Yeah.
And they really embraced that. And we welcomed this young woman and her 10-year-old son that have gone through against all odds, really all odds, to get a college degree and get a job, and then also start mentoring other kids in foster care. That means the world to us, because we're also helping change people's lives right here. And we find that the combination of, you know, the Ritz Carlton community steps, Chef Jose Andres, and our own, we are aligned in that purpose and in that higher purpose of caring for our people and our community. I mean, I'll tell you a story. Chef Jose Andres, he's all over the world, right?
Yes.
He's feeding thousands, hundreds of thousands of people.
It's millions of meals being served every year.
It's unbelievable what he does. So he has now a TikTok, and on his TikTok, he was showing the rooftop and the views from the rooftop. So he's like, hey, you know how he always does, people of New York, look at the rooftop, I'm coming, it's gonna be great, you know, boom, you know, etc. And he's so infectious and great. So I had just heard of the bombing of one of his kitchens in the Ukraine. So I texted him and I said, Chef, I'm so happy you're back and you're safe. I was really worried about you. You know, God bless you, you know, Godspeed that you're safe. 2 seconds later, my phone rings and it's like midnight in the Ukraine. And it's Chef Los Andres. He's like, Daisy, I'm not in New York. That was an old TikTok. I'm here and I'm feeding these people. And I started, you know, this other kitchen. And he's explaining to me all of his challenges about feeding people in the Ukraine. And he said, and my next goal is I want to drive to Mariupol and start feeding people there. And I'm trying to, you know, I'm on my way. And I'm like, Chef, please be safe. I said, we care about you. And he just, I mean, he's an extraordinary person, and he understands more than it's just feeding people, but he understands the chain of how you feed people. And his biggest thing was, now I really need to convince all the farmers to plant grain so we don't have any more shortages of grain. And he was on the phone for 45 minutes at midnight, just talking about this.
That's incredible. And now, right now, they have a big relief
connection.
They have a big relief operation happening right now just over the border of Ukraine and Poland, and they're serving lots of meals to people over there. So, Donna, what do you know, I got to have you respond to all of this, because Marriott's done a very good job at trying to focus on a lot of these issues. How do you see these types of things and your role in trying to help society be a better place?
Well, I think what's nice about it is that it complements really our vision and our philosophy about philanthropy. We call our branded program Community Footprints. And so from a global brand perspective, we have you know, certain things that we focus on, and then each of our individual properties around the world has their own community footprints plan annually that they put together, where they give back within their own local community, because we always want to be impacting the individual communities in which we do business. So I think, you know, this is just a nice complement to what we do and how we can, you know, amplify really the efforts that, you know, obviously Chef Jose does, and then also some of the things that Daisy mentioned, which they've, you know, brought into the hotel from some of their philanthropic efforts as well.
And what I love about a partnership like this is, Daisy, your passion and your empathy is palpable and infectious. I cried 3 times during your conversation, but you didn't see it because I was trying to go back. I'm a big, I have 3 girls, so I cry all the time. And you're infectious, and your passion, and with working with Marriott to be able to kind of do what you're doing in helping Marriott, you know, improve the brand, and Marriott helping improve your operation. It's just a beautiful partnership. But at the end of the day, you know, we can say, ladies and gentlemen, serving ladies and gentlemen. We can put a binder together. We can put a general manager in there that does the right things to make money for everyone and follows a union contract. But the one thing we cannot do, and I've said this for years and years and years, we cannot get the owner and the operator to care if they don't. And I say the housekeeper will have a wonderful day if the owner, and Glenn's heard me say this many times, if the owner, when they wake up in the morning, they put their foot on the ground, if they're in a good mood and they're having a good day and they care about their team, that housekeeper, even if they never meet, will have a great day. And I always say that housekeeper is completely tied, not to the brand, not to the general manager, to the person that owns the dirt. Because if that person is doing everything right, it will flow all the way down to the housekeeper. So having housekeepers coming back to work, knowing not only they can feed their families, but they can do it where they're not worried about money, because a housekeeper in New York City in your union makes a very nice income that can help develop their family and improve their family. And that, to me, that's all I talk about in my keynotes, in my book, in my class. Everything I do is about that relationship between the owner and the housekeeper, because everybody that knows me knows housekeepers are the #1 people in the business, and I don't care about anybody else. If the housekeeper is happy,
They're so important. Absolutely.
And I mean
Well,
that.
we
Yeah.
have, I want to share a quick story. We have,
Please.
I always say we have lineup every day, which I'm sure you're familiar with, but it's, a quick meeting at the beginning of every shift in the hotel every day. And I always say the housekeeping lineups are the best one to go to. They have the best energy, and the housekeepers, I believe, are the heart and soul of the property. So, but last week at the end of Countdown, actually, Daisy and Paul and some of their team attended. We had what we call a pep rally, and it's a celebration at the end of Countdown for our ladies and gentlemen. And so it's really a party. And we start it with a wall of applause where they all come through and we're all cheering for them. And it's just incredible energy. And I think shows them how important they are in the brand and in this property, and in really, putting forth the vision of both the brand and, of course, the property too. And I think, for them to know how empowered they are and what an important role they play really comes through. And I think that's what you see in all of our ladies and gentlemen around the world. But the story I wanted to share was one of our trainers who was in town just for the Countdown. He doesn't work at the property, but he was there to help train our new ladies and gentlemen. He is a huge Yankees fan, and he had, I guess, been talking about this because it was his lifelong dream to go to a Yankees game in Yankee Stadium. And he had never been to New York except for the Countdown. And so our director of HR had caught wind of this, and she happened to have tickets to the game that week during Countdown. And so he had this big story about he had sat next to Derek Jeter on a plane, and they had interacted when he was a boy. And so it had just always been, part of his dream to attend a game. And so our director of HR had these amazing tickets, I guess, fifth row tickets at Yankee Stadium. And she gave the tickets to this trainer to attend because she knew how meaningful that would be for him. And so he stood up at lineup and he shared this story. And of course, he was thrilled to get to go to the game. And he was, just beyond excited about the whole experience. And I don't think there was a dry eye, at lineup. But what he said, which I thought was really important, was that this director of HR, who he didn't even technically work for, had gone to such lengths to really, make his dream come true, if you will. And so he said, imagine what she will do and the care she will provide for all of you at this property as your HR leader. And I just thought that really encapsulated what this brand is all about and how important our ladies and gentlemen are, and really how this partnership, allows for the growth and opportunity for all of these ladies and gentlemen, specifically at this property.
Yeah, that's an absolutely beautiful story. Though it would have been better if it was about the Mets and not the Yankees.
and that's why I love hospitality, because you meet all these people, you have the ability to do great things. I always say, if you want to have a TV show, you want to be in the movies, you want whatever you want to do, go work at a hotel, because you'll meet everybody, and the people that you work with will help facilitate those meetings. Again, I don't ever have my TV show for 9 years if it wasn't for Leo Rossi, who I met in a hotel. And we became friends, and we're still best friends. And I was on the phone with him this morning about a project we're working on. And it all happens in a hotel. Everything happens in hotels, deals, development, contracts. I mean, the Algonquin Hotel that I ran is famous for, writers coming in and writing their book there or signing their contract there. Matter of fact, the Godfather's contract for The Godfather was signed in the lobby of the Algonquin. So it's just it's just one of the greatest, I think, industries in the world. So love that story.
It certainly is. We're getting close to the time where we're going to have to start wrapping up now, which is really, really sad. But that's okay, Anthony, because we're going to continue this conversation live one day.
But can I say something?
The Ritz Carlton NoMad.
We would love that.
Yeah, go on, Anthony.
Really important. We're doing something that is fantastic. We're talking to two very powerful women in our industry. And as we all know, there are not a lot of women in the C-suites. There's not a lot of women developers out there. And to see
very rare
two wonderful, successful women executives, we have to stop and talk about that. So Daisy, as a developer that happens to be a woman, how has that been? Has that been challenging? How has that been getting all this accomplished in the last 20, 25 years, is it more difficult then? I know it's a dumb question, but I'm very careful because I'm not a female and I'm not a woman executive.
Yeah, we don't want you to get canceled like your flight.
No, I'm not worried about getting.
Yeah, don't get canceled. I mean, things have changed a lot, right? And since I graduated from college over 30 years ago, a lot has changed, right? It's a very different business. Business is different, and some things have changed a lot, and some things have not changed enough. But not to belabor anything that ever happened in the past, it still is a difficult place for women because people, even the most open-minded person still has preconceptions about what does that mean in our business, right?
Right.
Are you going to be somebody that is going to ignore the budget because you decided, that you really liked something else? Is it going to be different? Are you going to change your mind? So people have these preconceptions about, what it means to have a woman in the boardroom when we're making these big decisions. And it's really interesting because on our side, I'm always the more pragmatic one, the more practical one. And once I set my goals, I really want to go straight towards them, and I don't like to waste time. So because in the way we separated our business, Paul does finance and acquisitions, and he still gets involved in, how we're designing and who we're choosing, but that's not his day-to-day job, right? Day-to-day is finance and acquisitions, and I do the construction and development. So I'm very goal-oriented and always refocusing our team on our timelines, on our goals, on our budgets. And I'm very straightforward and very driven on what that is. And I think people are surprised sometimes that it's the case. But what also helps is that I'm coming from a world where in my heart, I'm a hotelier, and the guest experience is so important to me. And so I really understand it, and I dive into what that guest experience is from, how they're approaching the property from the street until they walk in, what's their trajectory, how it's supposed to feel, what I want to see. And one thing is really interesting is that most male counterparts think that the bar is more important to men than it is to women. And I find it the total opposite.
Yeah.
The bar is actually one of the most important pieces for women, because women are always want to know, where am I getting a quick cappuccino and where can I get a cocktail after I'm done with work, And so making that a great place to be and a magnet is very important, because you don't have a fun bar if you don't have great women sitting at it.
And speaking about having great women, if you missed yesterday's show with DEI Advisors, of course, that's with industry legend David Kong, Rachel Humphrey, Len Elliott. We talk all about bringing equity to empower women and minorities and help them grow in their positions in the industry. So check out that show. Donna, what do you think about what Daisy's saying?
Well, it's interesting. When I joined the Ritz Carlton brand, I joined in finance, which is, another area where you don't find a lot of women. But
you go to the financial conferences back in the day, there'd be like 200 men for every one woman. Now that's changing, right, Donna?
It's better. But I think, I'm hugely passionate about travel, hugely passionate about the guest experience, about luxury, similar to Daisy. And I think the message I would give is just, we need more women in these positions and in this industry. And I think while it is getting better, I certainly would love to see more female general managers, more, female leadership on property. We actually I was in Istanbul earlier this year at our property, and it's really interesting. We have a female GM there, and we also have, at least to my knowledge, the first all-female guidance team at that property. And so it's really interesting to see, these women and what they're doing with that property in particular. But yeah, I guess that would be my message, is I'd like to see more of us, so it's not such a topic.
Well, I have a little tidbit to add here too, because at the Ritz Carlton in South Beach, we just got our first female general manager since we've owned that property in 2001. And she actually won General Manager of the Year, which is a pretty huge feat.
Well,
Yeah.
As a father of 3 daughters, I always say, if you want a man's job done, give it to a woman. So, and Glenn's heard me again at nauseum talk about, I've always had more success working around female executives. And this is kind of how I feel about it. We're always, not to disparage men, but we're always looking for the trophy, right? We do something like, oh, look what I did. I do it all the time. It's like, here, look what I did. She goes, oh, you bought strawberries. Congratulations.
Right.
I just the house across the street. So whereas women just work hard and they want respect, but they're not holding up the trophy all the time. Go, look at me, look at me, look at me. That's the difference I find. That any executives I've worked around that happen to be female are just driven and work harder than I've ever seen anybody work. So today was one of my favorite shows ever, because it's great to see a hotelier. When I took over as first vice president of Tishman Asset Management, and I was walking to the Westin Hotel, and I had 3 people work for me, 3 analysts, and they were all in their 20s, and they were all from Cornell. And I've been developing hotels and working general managing hotels in New York City my whole career. And I looked at them and I go, that's where you guys have been hiding, because I haven't seen you in the operation. So to have a hotelier that truly understands the operation is so overwhelming. I cannot wait. I'm going to be in the city tomorrow. I'm going to stop by and look at the property. I haven't seen the property, but congratulations.
We can't wait.
All right, so the GM that Daisy was referring to is Jackie Volkart, and she can be seen on our show from May 11th of this year, 2022. So go check our database for that show. We talk all about it.
I loved her. She was, again, very passionate.
We've had her on twice already.
Who's your general manager in New York City?
Bastian Germer.
Say it together.
Yes.
He's also terrific.
Yeah, it's
he is, because he's also from the neighborhood as well. He was
cool.
the GM at the Edition Clock Tower. Mm-hmm. So we love his connection to the neighborhood. He lives here. He's already had a hotel here. He has that great experience from Edition, and he really understood that we wanted this Ritz Carlton to stand out and to be special. And he has the flavor for it. So now it's his property.
And I think cool. Back to what you're doing from the humanitarian standpoint. I went to the Fresh Air Fund when I was a little kid, and I was an inner city kid, and there's a whole story behind that. But we lived in a nice house, and and my mom was strong, and we had the things we needed, but we needed an experience, and so she signed me up. I'm sure you're familiar with the Fresh Air Fund.
Yeah.
And I went to the Fresh Air Fund for 2 years, and I went to Warwick, New York, and hung out with the Porter family, and really changed my perspective on the world. Because here I am, I grew up in Brooklyn, and I'm going out, I'm finding what gasoline in the garage in the tractor smells like. I'm learning how to fish. I'm learning how. When I was 8 years old, I shot a gun. I drove a pickup at 8 years old, and I did all the things country kids do. So the things that you're doing are so critically important. And it's really kind of one of the reasons I've had any success in my life is because I spent 2 summers at the Fresh Air Fund.
Oh, that's a great story. I love that, because all of those experiences just build on what you want for yourself for the future. And I think that they are life-changing experiences. And we have to mentor our youth, and we also have to mentor more women in this business.
Yeah, I'll tell you, when I was in the pool and we were all playing around, his kids were playing around, Mr. Porter's kids, and I didn't have a father. My father passed away, and I got disciplined because we were screwing around, and he told us to stop, and we didn't, and he plucked me out of the pool by my head. I'll never forget it. He threw me on the deck, and he said, when I say something, I mean it. And it scared me. I think I may have, tinkled on myself, but it taught me consequences, and it taught me, with a male figure, strong male face. So it was really life changing for me. And so anyway, thank you for bringing the heart back into hospitality, both of you.
And thank you for everything. Before we let you go, we'd be remiss if you don't have a chance to say a couple of final words. Donna, let's start with you, please.
Well, thank you for having us and allowing us to showcase this incredible new property. Of course, Daisy, thank you as always for your partnership. We're just thrilled about can't wait for you to go see it. So definitely stop by when you're in New York tomorrow, as you said. But, really, this is a wonderful representation, I think, of the future of the Ritz Carlton brand. And we can't wait for all of our new guests and the locals alike to experience the property. So thank you. Thank you for having us.
Thank you, Donna. Daisy?
Yeah, well, for me, I feel like the reason why this project was even at all possible was because of a lot of trust between us and the Marriott company and the Ritz Carlton brand. I mean, there's so much mutual trust, admiration, and we have a shared vision and common goals. And I think that one of the things that makes this also very exciting, being a New Yorker, I've been here since I was about a year old, is that we're bringing a little piece of New York into every room and into everything that we've done here. Most of our artists that you'll see around the hotel are all based here in New York. Their studios are here, or they got their careers started here. And we just love that. So you'll see great art like Pat Steer, Ross Bleckner, Donald Bachelor, Victor Matthews, Miando, and we're here to infuse and be the welcome mat for our guests and show them what it's like to be on the inside of the New York scene.
Who is your designer?
So we had multiple designers here. So Christian Pineda Rubio from Susurros was what I like to call our chief creative officer, because he helped us work through all the different design teams that had a piece in the hotel and make sure that all of the guest experience from the rooms and the lobby, the bars and the hotels all worked, and that there was a great transition. So for the Zaytinya restaurant, we have David Rockwell. For the Bazaar Bar and the Bazaar Restaurant, we have Lazaro Rosa Violan. And for the Rooftop Bar, we have Martin Brzezinski that does fabulous bars. And the rest of the hotel was Christian Pinedo. So we're very excited about it.
Yeah, what an easy project, huh?
A great team.
I got a question.
We made it hard.
Oh, no. Another
that's why it has
question.
personality. We wanted it to have personality and not be like another cookie cutter hotel.
Right. And Anthony, because you can't handle ending this show, what's another question you have? I know.
I'm emotionally tied into this project. You know what happens once I love a project?
I know.
I'm going to be the old guy outside going, come in. But what's really important to me is we all live by a standard, right? And I always say passion changes everything. It's going to be on my tombstone. It's on my business card. It's everything I do. Passion changes everything. If you're passionate, stuff happens. There's a famous producer that said, put your dreams in the atmosphere and the world will conspire for your success. Right. Another favorite quote of mine. And so what is your favorite quote and what does it mean to you? Either one of you.
Anyone? Donna, do you have one?
That's a tough one. It's tough to choose. I don't know if I have a quote.
I'd go with passion is everything.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's a Thomas Edison quote, but because I'm not a native American English speaker, I'm from Colombia, I always get all the sayings backwards and the quotes backwards. So my family's always laughing at me. But one of my favorite quotes is from Thomas Edison, and I'm not going to quote it directly because I'm sure that I'm going to get it wrong. Yep. But it's, success is 100%
perspiration.
Perspiration, yes.
Inspiration.
I always say it wrong.
It's 1% inspiration
1%
and 9% perspiration. And
exactly. I knew I was going to get it wrong.
And I'm glad you said that quote, because that's why I stopped in the middle of the program to talk about all the perspiration, right? People are going to see you and you're going to inspire them.
Yeah.
But I always say, I don't want to hear about the inspiration. I want to hear about the perspiration. And so that is a great quote. That is a great quote.
The perspiration goes on. I mean, we have so many battles, I would say heart-fought battles that we had to fight to get this, property off the ground. And, they were, massive and all the broken promises, throughout COVID as well. So not just the supply chain issues, but then when the hotel is close to open, my husband and I, we actually moved into the hotels before we open, and we are on top of our punch list and going through with the construction crews, with the Ritz Carlton team, and just making sure that every detail is right. And we do that personally. I'm calling in from one of our suites because we have moved in here and we're still making sure that everything is just right.
Beautiful.
I was just going to say, well, a quote did not come to my mind this morning, but I do fully agree with you on the passion piece. And I always say, you know, I think I have the best job in the world, and I'm so passionate about this brand and about travel and about, I just think it's the best way that we continue to learn in our lives. And so I think when you have that and when you're focused on, you know, we've all talked about the details and every detail of the experience, and not only the journey that our, you know, guests have with the brand, but also that our ladies and gentlemen have. I think there's just so much there that continues to be inspiring on a daily basis. So I think you're right about, you know, when you have the passion, I think the rest all comes together.
And Daisy, if your general manager ever decides to move on, I'm available.
All right, I got it.
All right. Thank you, Donna McNamara and Dayssi Olarte de Kanavos. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Can't wait to have you back again sometime soon. Thank you so much. And again,
Thank
please
you.
stick around. We'll wrap up in just a second. Anthony, hold on. I'm sorry. I'm having trouble getting you out of the room. Hang tight. Goodbye. All right. So my favorite quote, Detective Roger Murtaugh. I'm getting too old for this, S. That's how
Listen, I'm telling you, this is one of my favorite shows that we've had. And it's so inspiring because, as I said, I know how hard it is to do what they did. And when I see hard things done with grace and with professionalism and with the employee in mind, it's everything I've worked for in my career and everything I talk about. So it was an absolute honor to do the show today.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. Remember, if you're watching us, download the audio versions, find it wherever you get the podcast. And if you're listening to us on audio, why not take a look at us? Find us on our respective pages on Facebook, LinkedIn. You know how all that works. We're there to help give you great information every day. All right, everybody. Thanks so much for being here. We'll see you next week. Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Tomorrow we got a Friday night audit. We're going to be celebrating Craig Sullivan's birthday. So remember, you got one life, so blaze on and
be kind to yourself.
See you all later.